Dear God, I am ready for your help in removing from me defects of character, which I now realise are an obstacle to my recovery. Help me continue being honest with myself and guide me towards spiritual and mental health. Amen. It's with much love and gratitude that the group welcomes Rico C today to share with us. Over to you, Rico.
Thank you, Purdy. I was talking. I thought we was doing this by osmosis or something. All right, we need a microphone here. My telepathy's not working today. Good evening, family and friends. Welcome, newcomers. My name is Rico Cruz, and I'm a very grateful, recovered alcoholic. Blessed to be here by the grace of a loving power that you guys introduced me to, and I didn't want to be bothered with when I first got here. And I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I'm going to tell you very little because we're here about 6 and 7. 6 and 7, for a quick little overview, is probably one of the most powerful steps I've taken since I've been here. My first experience in Cocaine Anonymous happened in 6 and 7, my first spiritual experience, first time in my life. My first spiritual experience happened at a dumpster, very first one, and that was before I met you. I didn't know it was a spiritual experience until I met you. Some of what I'm sharing today is a looking back experience, because I'm looking from where I am now. And thank God I'm not where I was when I started. But also how I wind 6 and 7 into my life today, tomorrow if I'm lucky, and next week, because it's taken on a whole new meaning than it was the first time I saw it. Because the first time I was introduced to 6 and 7, I was a Puerto Rican sleazebag eating out of a dumpster, had just got here, and I was a no God baby. And I'm telling you this part instead of just 6 and 7 because you got to see what Cocaine Anonymous, the steps, traditions, and concepts, and that power you introduced me to that I didn't want to be bothered with, have done. This is not something that I have accomplished. This is something that happened to me and for me by grace. I didn't do any of it. I didn't want to be bothered with. Every time you guys want God, I said, please, all due respects, miss me with that. I'm going to tell you a quick little sidebar so you could get a little taste of what 6 and 7 means to me. I was about 9 or 10 years old. I'm from Spanish Harlem in New York. I come from a very, very poor Puerto Rican family, and we didn't have things and stuff. We just had each other. That's just the way it was. When I was about 9 or 10, I'm not sure, 9 or 10, I was studying, most Boricuas in New York, we practice Catholicism. You don't have a choice. Your mother makes you go to church, whether you want to go or not. So I decided I want to be an altar boy. At the time, I did not know I was dyslexic. And at that time, I'm probably dating myself, the Mass was totally in Latin. Maybe 1 or 2 words in English, mostly all Latin. And as I'm studying to be an altar boy, I'm not able to learn Latin fast enough. And these 2 compassionate, loving priests thought that they would help me learn Latin a bit more if I'm going to serve community members. So one would hold me, and one would beat my knuckles so they were black, blue, purple, and bleeding to help me learn Latin fast enough. And I'm one of those defiant Boricuas. When I decide you're not going to make me cry, you would have to kill me. I'm not crying. I'll go down with the Titanic. You're not making me cry. And all the other little altar boys would be sitting around crying. They were crying for my pain. And I wouldn't cry. And the last time they did it, something inside me said, that's it. Vamonos. And I pushed them away. I kicked one away. And I ran out of that church as fast as I possibly can. And I looked up at the sky. And I said, and I remember to this day, I'm getting goosebumps. God, if this is what you're about, I don't want no more. I made a conscious decision. I don't want no more. If this is what you're about, miss me. And from that day until I met you guys and stuck around for a minute, so I would never go back. I have 5 sisters and no brothers, and we used to have to go to the church. It wasn't no time out and choices back in those days. Mama said, you go to church, you're going to church. So we would go to church. I'd be all dressed up going to church. All the girls would go in church. I go across the street. I play basketball. And when they get out, they come get me. I'm not messing with the God idea. I'm done. Not going to do it. And then I'd go home, and my mother's the dearest, loving, most beautiful person I know, or she was when she was here. I didn't want to break my mother's heart because she thought the priest in the Catholic Church walked on water. And I'd come home with my knuckles, my hands all torn up. And she said, what happened? I said, I got into a little fight. And I do this every week because we had choir boy rehearsal once a week. And she said, when are you going to stop fighting? When are you going to stop fighting? I said, I couldn't bear to tell her how I got those marks and those bloody knuckles on my hands. So I just ate it. So now I'm a no God baby. I made a conscious decision, as sharp as I think I am, I'm not going. I don't care what goes down. That God idea? No. So life goes on. I continue on. I do what I do. I get what I get. I wind up needing you guys because I don't want to tell you my experience, strength, and hope, because 6 and 7 is not about my experience, strength, and hope. I just want to give you an idea of what happened to me in 6 and 7. So I get introduced to you through a homeless shelter. It wasn't my idea. I'll give you a quick sidebar. I had a son at 19 years old. Obviously, I wasn't married. And I didn't want to be one of them deadbeat fathers. So I said, well, I'll raise him. And I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, keep him for 2 years, let me get myself together, because I was involved in the little import-export business, which was not legal. But I wanted to hurry up and tone down, and I wanted to bring my son into a world that'll be okay. And that happened, but I had to get rid of all the things I was doing and get people away from me that I was doing. So I raised my son. He comes home one day, he says, Dad, the coach wants to talk to you. I said, oh, yeah? He's playing football, and they want to recruit him to go to the University of Utah. I said, okay, tell him to come on down. So I go to my office party. I'm a working professional. I go to my office party. We have the little drinky poo, tootie poo, the stuff that we do. And I promised my son, don't worry, Poppy, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And I can't make it. That invisible seatbelt comes out, and I can't make it. Can't get there. And I walk in the house, and you hear nothing but silencia. You can hear a pin drop. And he looks at me. If eyes could kill, you'd have somebody else sitting there with you. It wouldn't be me. And he's never looked at me like that in his life. So I say, okay. So he gets the scholarship. He goes away from school. Now, I've been taking care of business up until this point. Some of it was illegal business, but I was taking care of business, maintaining a household. I pick up a few hostages on the way. I think you call them girlfriends, to make sure he has clean clothes and eats good and his homework's always done. That was real important to me. So he goes away, and that's when it starts. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now party time. And for the next 3.5 years, from a house, a duplex, and an apartment I used to work at up in Hollywood, I'm walking around homeless, helpless, godless, thoughtless, nothing. And I wind up in this homeless shelter, and they introduce me to you. But I'm a no God baby. So I'm sitting in the back in what they used to call death row. And I'm sitting way back there, and I don't want to be bothered. God bless you. I don't want to be bothered with your God. I've had my God experience. That's enough for me. Thank you, but no thank you. So I'm going through life like this, no God. Now, I don't find out until 6 and 7 that God don't need my permission to work in my life. I look at all that. I've come from a tumultuous journey, and I've had guns everywhere you can possibly have a gun cocked and ready to go, and guns jamming, and never been shot. And I say that to let you know this power has been in my life all the time, even in my helplessness and hopelessness and my dumpster diving. I don't even know it, because I thought I had to give him the green light or he wasn't allowed to approach. I didn't know that. It just comes alive for me in 6 and 7. So I get introduced to this little homeless shelter, and you got to go to these little meetings and stuff. That's mandatory if you want to eat. These people are reading this funny ass blue book, and I don't know nothing about it. Never been exposed to it, you know. And one day I get woken up out of a dead sleep. I just jump up because you can't get the magical oatmeal until the meeting's over. And I hear this guy say, rarely have we seen a person fail who was 35 out our path. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I go back to sleep. All I want to do is eat and go. Because by nature, I don't know if it's by nature, but I've just been that way all my life. I'm a loner. I like to roll with just me. You know, that was before you guys told me about the selfishness and self-centeredness. I roll with me because whatever I do, you can't tell on me because you're not going to be there. So I'm brimming up. I get introduced to you. Now, if you could imagine for a second, because I know none of this happened to you guys, for a moment, just think about, because I'm going to try and paint a picture of the journey that I was on. The first 5 proposals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I had to do with no God. It was difficult. You know, I had some of you kind and loving beings say, oh, you can borrow my God. I said, it's me with that. What bother your God for? I don't want to be bothered with the God idea. Keep your God. I hope he's helping you. Good. And to do 1, 2, and 3 were definitely out the picture. I did 4 out of desperation. 5, hard to do those things when you've lived the kind of life that I lived with no power. I got no power. You guys told me self-reliance failed us. It definitely failed me. And it was all about me. It wasn't about me. I'm out of here. I'm my favorite topic. I'm talking past now. Don't look at me like I'm narcissistic now. Not today, but not because of me, because of you and that power that I access. So I get in here, and this old man starts taking me through the book. And step 1, for a guy like me living the life I lived, step 1 was no problem. I didn't need a God for step 1. We just looked at the evidence. And he takes me through the book. And he said, you know, we're going to pass on these forwards. Let me get you to the doctor's opinion. And I find out something's wrong with me, and I'm suffering from something. I thought I was dirty, old, low down, sleazebag Boricua. There's plenty of them where I come from. It's okay. Introduces me. He said, we're going to do these steps here. Take a look at this. He said, I know who you are. You're that no guy baby. I said, you don't know me. I got my chest sticking out. Now, mind you, I weigh 99 pounds, soaking wet, 2 pair of pants on, 2 sweatshirts, sucked up, and I'm sticking my chest out. He said, sit down, Sonny. I said, Sonny, my name ain't Sonny. Yo, soy Boricua. And I start puffing out this chest that ain't there. And I'm like, he said, sit down and shut up. I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I knew then he knew what was going on. And I was beginning to get a picture of what was going on. And I find out that I'm not this dirty, low-down SOB that I thought I was. I was just a guy who had a sickness, and I was feeding it. Wrong medicine, but I was feeding it all the time. See, I'm one of them addicts. I know you guys are cute and little tooty poot and smoke a little bit. I'm one of the guys where I come from. I'm out the gate by 8, in the spoon by noon, on the floor by 4, and back in the pen by 10. That's how we roll. You do that for 20 years, it becomes normal. There's no big thing. That's like you guys eating breakfast. That's what I do. One day at a time. And I finally get introduced to you, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. At the end of my using, I'm up in Nevada. I know this place. I've been up for 5 days. I'm like starving Marvin. I know this place where this manager throws out, if you will, the cleanest, dirtiest food. And I said, man, I don't know. I've been eating out the dumpster for a year and a half by now. And I'm going here and I'm going to get me just something to eat just so I don't fall out. I got to do 1 or 2 things. I either got to get something to eat, I got to get me some more cocaine. 1 of the 2, but I can't just do nothing. So I go down there to catch this bag, and the bag, I get ready to get it, and it falls, and the stuff goes down in between me, and I feel this hot, dirty, nasty plastic up and down my arms, coffee grinds, dirty scrambled eggs, and whatever else was in there, and I start crying. And I start crying uncontrollably. This is my first spiritual experience. I have an out-of-body experience. I come out of my body, and I'm looking down at this animal at this dumpster, crying hysterically. And in about 20 seconds past, maybe even 10, I see that animal is me. That was my first spiritual experience. I've had guns pointed at me, knives trying to slice me up. I've been into a crazy life. That's how we grew up in Spanish Harlem. I have never, ever, ever experienced the depth of fear that I did at that dumpster. And it scared the holy bejeebus out of me. And I just took off crying and running, crying and running. I'm running down the middle of the street, in between cars, I'm running, because I got to get something to wipe this vision out. And I don't know about you, but I know some heroin, cocaine, or some alcohol, I get enough of it, it'll wipe this vision out. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. I cannot ever, ever, ever see that vision again. This guy comes from a good, loving family, graduated from high school, junior college, university, and graduate school. I'm here running up and down this street, crying and screaming, waiting for somebody to recognize me, and they call me over. Hey, Bodie, come here. Vente para acá. And they're going to give me a little something to just calm me down. It didn't happen. And what I ran into finally was into a liquor store. I just ran in there, jumped over the counter, took a big thing of vodka, and just went running out the store. The guys yelling at me all the way down the street. Because I had to get to oblivion. There's no way in the world I could ever see that visual again. I saw that visual from within me, not just with my physical eyes. I saw it deeper than that. And I just couldn't do it no more. And that's when they introduced me to you. I said, I can't do this dance no more. And I met you guys. And you were nice and loving and kind, but you kept bringing that God idea around me. And before I even knew about resentments, I started resenting. And I would tell you, excuse me, no thank you. Because that young kid experience just stayed with me. And I met this old man, the one that said, sit down, Sonny. And I told him my name ain't Sonny. He said, don't worry about that God idea. I said, I'm not. I don't want to be bothered with it. I said, I'll do anything you ask me to do, except the God idea. Can't do that. Can't do it. Even if I want to, I can't do it. And he says, let me tell you something. And this is one of the things that was burnt into my consciousness. He said, there's something out there that makes that sun rise and that sun set. That something is not you. That's all you need to know to take these 12 steps. And you take them to the best of your ability, something will happen for you. I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen because I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen for you. And he said, and if you meet anybody that's going to tell you what's going to happen to you as a result of these 12 steps, he said, I want you to do me one favor. I said, what? He said, run. He said, you need somebody that's going to allow you to find your own truth and have your own experience with each one of these steps. And if you do that, you won't have to worry about a power. And I can hear his voice in my ear now. I mean, it just got burnt into my consciousness. So I started thinking, oh, maybe this will work. But from my heart to yours, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are difficult without God. And I took the difficult route, not because I wanted to. I had to. Because I said, I'm a no God baby. I'll do anything. Don't bring the God idea. He said, well, do you believe I believe? I said, yeah. Took all the steps. 5 got a little emotional to me. When I got home and I sat down for an hour, called my sponsor and said, I left one thing off. I was going to go to my grave with it. I said, hell, I've done all this. Go back over his house. We get rid of it. I'm okay. No burning bush experience. I feel a little lighter. It's time for 6 and 7. And I approach 6 and 7 like this. The first time I approach 6 and 7 is not how I utilize 6 and 7 now. First of all, I was not entirely ready to have this thing that I didn't want to be bothered with, remove all my defects of character. Second, I was so sick, I didn't know I had defects of character, although they were pointed out to me in 5. But they called them patterns, behavioral patterns. So patterns and defects, they don't even sound with the same letter in the beginning. So I just moved on. But I did it anyway because I said, you know what? I'm halfway in. I got 2 choices. I can stay in the fear and go back and bring me some dope and sit in front of one of those mortuaries and save the transportation people some problems. I'll just be there when I roll over. Or I could take a step to the unknown, which was the unknown. What you guys were talking about was the unknown to me. And I took a step forward and said, okay, I'm going to try this. said, but entirely ready? There's no way to do this without the God idea? And the man that I began to trust, he said, I wouldn't recommend it. And to this point, he gave me reason to trust him. I said, well, I'm not one of them, excuse me if you're from California, I'm not one of them California act as if guys. That ain't me. I either am or I am not. But I can't do that fake it to you. That's not me. I heard all his slogans by now. I'm at 6. He said, just try it. If you don't like it, no problem. Just try it. So this is my first introduction to 6. Entirely ready to have God remove all these defects. I needed some change. I needed some help. I thought I had some surrender in me. That God idea just kept vibrating off me. And it wound up, 6 and 7 for me, wound up being the most spiritual thing that has ever happened to me in Cocaine Anonymous, other than meditation, prayer and meditation. But that's later down the road. Puerto Rican sleazebag with no God in his life ain't thinking about prayer and meditation. That's like light years away. Right now, is there something out there I could trust, a power great enough that can remove these defects of characters? Well, frankly, I didn't want them all removed. I was a slick hustler. I didn't want to lose that. I was a Latin lover. I didn't want to lose that. I wanted to be the freak of the week. I didn't want to lose that. So I said, well, what if, I'm talking to this guy, I said, well, what if he could remove all this other stuff and take the dope away and the alcohol away and the sick women I was dating away, but let me handle my sex life and let me handle my finances. Now I'm here in a homeless shelter, got no money and no honey, and I'm worried about what he's going to take and not take. I don't know about you, but that sounds to me that I need to join the fellowship called Damn Fools Anonymous. Worried about what's going to be taken from me. Because I would have been the prototype of Damn Fools Anonymous. But there was no fellowship like that. And I was halfway in. I'm at 6 and 7. Quick sidebar. 6 and 7 are so placed in the right place. I mean, I hear all the time people talking about these steps were divinely developed, created, whatever they were. 6 and 7 is exactly where they're supposed to be. You learn some things about yourself. You admitted some things about yourself. You accepted some things about yourself. You shared it with God and another human being. You agreed to turn your life and you will come to the care of the power. All that. And now you're going to face the power. In 6 and 7, I'm going to go back and forth because there's the before and after. In 6 and 7, I find out God don't need my permission to do a damn thing. But being so self-absorbed, I thought I had to give him permission to work in my life. See, I didn't know he was working in my life when those guns were pointed at me. They were cocked. And they got jammed. I didn't know he was there. I thought I was Lucky Rico. Just keep moving on. I didn't know when I was eating out of those dumpsters that I didn't get sick or any health problems or anything like that because he was there. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was nowhere around because I didn't want him around. So in my magnifying mind, I'm okay. I put the badge on. No God, baby. Don't mess with me. And I walk with that until 6 and 7. So I take a deep look at 6. Can I do this? Am I ready? Am I not ready? What difference does it make? Just be like Nike. Just do it. So I say, okay, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to be entirely ready to have this power that I can't see, feel, touch, interact with, smell, nothing. Magically remove these defects of character. Because I got some. I had the greed. I had the jealousy. I had the, we walk around Spanish Harlem. Yo soy orgulloso. And we so proud and we got that pride and we walk like that and we talk like that and we dance like that. And we fight like that. So pride didn't seem like a problem to me. But what I didn't know is I didn't get to decide which ones yes, which ones no. So I'm going through all this with this man while I'm thinking about, am I going to do this? Am I going to wimp out? And I'm giving you my thinking, not today, but at the time I was taking them. Am I going to wimp out and sit back and let some power help me where I come from? You help yourself. Nobody can help you. You help yourself. And when you're born and raised like that, and you live like that all your life, especially in the streets of Spanish Harlem, you got to rely on self. Yet you guys told me self-reliance had failed me. Now, how do I have an education like I do, a profession like I do, be dependable like I do? People like that don't wind up eating out of dumpsters. So it was easy to see how self-reliance failed me. Greed, it talks about the 12 and 12. I hid greed under ambition. I have ambition. I want to drive this. I want to wear this. I want to have this. I want to go out with her. I want to do all these things that I'm creating. I'm listing as my ambitions. It's greedy. I had everything I needed, but I let that greed drive me. And I couldn't see it was greed. I couldn't see the character defects. Sloth, I'm not much on sloth because I'm a go-getter. I'm going to get mine. I ain't waiting for you to give me nothing. I'm going to get mine. False pride, jealousy, anger, self-righteous anger, killer. If you look at me, what you looking at? You want something to look at? That's how we grow up in Spanish Harlem. I mean, it's just the way of life. It ain't that you're a tough guy. It's just certain things you do, and there's certain things you don't do. You don't let nobody stare you down. And it's just almost like a natural reaction. And we grow up like that. Gossip. Oh, I got 5 sisters and no brothers. I really was never one for the gossip. But I have been guilty of murder by character assassination. I have killed a couple of y'all in my mind. You know, I never put my hands on you. But that's just as bad in terms of character defects for me. Remember, I'm talking about for me. I came here sad, sick, and sorry. But I still wanted to be proud. Yo soy orgulloso. Ayorita. But see, I didn't know the sickness was up here. I didn't know that. So I get this sick, and this is how sick I was. I'm going to make a concession with this power. But I'll let you take this, and I'll let you take that, and I'll let you remove this. But I'm holding on to this. Rico, are you crazy? This is all or none law. And that doesn't mean they're all going to be taken from me. That means I'm going to surrender them all. And that power, as I got to know them, will take what needs to be taken and leave the rest for me so I can grow one day at a time. So I'm running through all these maturations and I'm looking at all this stuff. And all of a sudden, I feel myself get kind of melancholy. And I start crying a little bit. And I wasn't ready. I was so desperate, I could taste it. I did step 6 out of sheer desperation. Because if I don't do this, I can't go back to the life out the gate by 8, in the spoon by noon, on the floor by 4, and back in the pen by 10. I've had too much time invested in that lifestyle. It didn't do me well. I take a good look at it, and I feel a little something, not much, a little something rising in me, within me. I said, man, I'm going to take this leap, and I'm going to try it. And I remember saying, I won't do it like I did it then, because I remember it. I could visualize it now. But there was some profanity involved, and I'm not going to say that here. But I went into a thing where I started screaming at the power. I think at that time I called him God. I don't know what to call him. I said, whoever you are, I don't even know if you're up there. But whoever you are, now I got to get a sidebar in now. Now I don't even know why they made us believe he was up there. There is no spot where God is not. And they got us looking up at the sky. But that's another story for another day. I just had to get that off my chest. Anyway, I'm looking up there and I'm screaming. I'm saying, if you up there, Where were you when those priests were beating my knuckles up and trying to make me cry and trying to make me learn something? Where were you then? Where were you when I ran out of those? I was talking all this crazy stuff, but I'm starting to cry. The emotions are starting to rise. And I said, but if you're up there, would you please help me? I'm dying. Can you help me? All of a sudden, I just start going to another place. And I repeated this step, but not like this. I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm cursing God. I'm calling him, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know if you're up there. But if you are, I'm dying. Can you help me? And he helped me. And I just sat there. Just sat there. I just sat there. Because I didn't feel worthy. I didn't think he was going to do it. I didn't even know if he was there. But I had nothing to lose. I wasn't entirely ready. I was begging his power. I was begging and screaming and cursing him. And after I cooled down, I called my sponsor. He said, that's good. Maybe there's a change taking place that don't need your permission. That's good. He said, let's keep it moving. And I take a look at SE7EN, and the first thing I do is frown. Yo? El Boricua? Humble? No. No. Yo soy Boricua. You don't get humble. Humble? See, I think humility is about being humiliated, which I've been several times in my life. So I associate the humbleness with being humiliated by another or a situation. So I can't walk down that street. That's not me. And little did I know, I didn't even know who me was. But I was saying, that's not me. But that quiet, I said that prayer. My sponsor at the time recommended that I say that prayer as if God is sitting right next to me and I'm talking it to him, telling it to him. Not recite it like it's in the book. Talk to him, my creator, as if I was sitting here talking to Donna or Dina. Talk to him like that. No these, thous, those, and all that. No. Sit down like you're talking to a friend. Because you don't understand God. If God is small enough for me to understand, he's not going to be big enough for me to trust. I got trust issues. Or at least I did then. But I'm going to take this leap. Because every time I hear creator, God, higher power, any of that, my knuckles start bleeding. I start seeing them priests beating me. It's the association I had attached to that relationship. And I know in and of myself, I wouldn't be able to shake it. I'm shaking it the whole time. I didn't need to. So I get to the prayer, except I'm not doing it like a prayer. I'm doing it like I'm talking to a friend next to me. My creator. I'm building trust. And I'm looking. I'm looking to see if anything moves. Because if he appears, I'm running. I'm a runner. So please don't show up. But I'm just talking to you. I'm trying to reach out. I'm not trying to give you some. I'm trying to get some. We both know this. So I say, my creator, the time has now come that you should have army, good and bad. And there's a lot of bad, a lot of bad. And only he knows about it. Wondering, how's he going to do that? Good and the bad? I remember being in meetings and hearing you guys curse, say God, the next word. And I say, well, maybe it might work. So I start talking the prayer to him, not reciting it, talking to him like I'm talking to a friend. If anybody would have came by my apartment at that time and looked in the window, they'd have thought I was crazy because nobody was in there but me. But I was following instructions. He said, talk to him. You won't know it, but if you talk to him, instead of saying a prayer, you'll start building trust. From him to you to him. So I start talking the prayer and asking him. When I got to the part, say, please, grant me strength as I go from here to do your bidding. Something hit me in the gut. He said, when I go off from here, you mean I'm not going out for Rico Anonymous no more? Which is no such fellowship? No, I'm going out to represent he who sent me. There's a prayer in another discipline I'm involved with. It says, and I say it every morning, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent he who sent me. Do not worry about what to do or what to say, for he who sent me will direct me. I am content wherever he will have me go, knowing he goes there with me. Learn how to heal as I allow him to teach me to heal through you men and women in Cocaine Anonymous, one day at a time. And for that, one day I'm going to be smart enough to be grateful for that. And by the grace of God, I've had the luxury to be able to live my life so that that prayer comes alive for me, like the step prayer comes alive for me. So now I'm getting melancholy. I'm thinking, man, what if this guy really helps me? What the hell am I going to do? All I know how to do is hustle and look good. This is about humility. I don't know anything about that. I got to claim ignorance in that box. I don't know anything about it because I've never wanted to know about it. I don't know about loving your fellow man and serving God as a way of living. I don't know about honesty. I don't know about loving kindness. I don't know about those things. How am I going to get on that? I don't know about building character. What I know about is building my bank account and building my reputation. That's what you do in Spanish Harlem. I don't know nothing about building character. What I need character for? What I was building was I was building images. How I wanted you to see me. How I wanted you to feel about it. It was always about me. You know, and they say it is better to be hated for who you are than it is to be loved for who you are not. And I spent the first half of my life being loved and respected for who I was not. I wasn't no tough guy like they thought I was. I had a little halfway reputation. I was scared of everything to move. Just never knew that. I didn't do what I did because I was some bad dude. I was full of fear. They never knew that because I created images. I knew. When I got introduced to cocaine and you guys said, would the real Rico Cruz come forward? I didn't know who he was. I was looking for him because I had been a chameleon my entire life until I met you. And now you're going to take me to the land of humble pie. I tell the guys I work with, the breakfast of champions are not Wheaties. The breakfast of champions, large slice of humble pie and the attitude of gratitude every morning. Every morning. That's the breakfast of champions. If you want to be a champion here. The champion here ain't the most popular person or the most loved person. A champion here is the one who becomes an emissary of the power he serves. That's the champion. And it's not about competition. It's about cooperation. Cooperation with that power that I didn't want to be bothered with. Yet my situation said, you better be bothered with somebody besides Rico Cruz. Or this is going to be a quick journey. And I'm coming down the backside of 7. I look at all the possibilities and the things that could possibly happen. And the crybaby starts crying again. And I mean thunder cry, emotional cry. I mean, I'm a passionate person by nature, but emotional, sometimes yes, sometimes no. But this was my first experience with 6 and 7. I was emotional. I couldn't believe that this power was going to help a Puerto Rican sleazebag like me. One day at a time, as long as I was willing to help myself where I could. There's nothing that happened in my life that I could have done on my own. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I sit here, I know that, and read a book about it. I had a direct experience on what, and all the greatest things I've done in my life, what I wound up doing and who I wound up being. So I'm coming down the backside of 7. crying like a baby again. I don't know why you guys turned me into a crybaby. I used to be a tough guy. Like Spanish master by Rico Cruz, they'll tell you about me. Now I'm a crybaby. I'm a wuss. And I'm okay with it. And I'm coming down and I'm crying. But the crying isn't that exterior cry. It's coming from within me. And I'm feeling the feelings. And I'm feeling a little gratitude. But I'm afraid to jump up and shout for joy because it might leave. So being the emotional coward that I was at that time, I just held on to it. And it just mounted and mounted and mounted. And it came, and the levee just opened up. And all of a sudden, my world just stopped. Silencia stopped. And all of a sudden, I have never felt such loved or to be loved, such joy, such tranquility, such peace, such stillness, such silence. Never felt any of this in my life. And I felt safe. And the whole world had stopped. And it was as if I was suspended. And everything stopped. And it sounded like everything went, shh. Scared the shit out of me. But I sat. And I sat. And I cried. And I cried. And I sat. Now, I consider myself a pretty sharp guy. I can't tell you what happened. What I can tell you is something happened. Something happened. And I grabbed a notebook and a pen, and I started writing. I didn't plan on doing this. And I called my sponsor and told him what happened. He said, wow, that's beautiful, man. And it wasn't about that outer beauty. He was glad that a Puerto Rican sleazebag like me could have an experience like that. And he was happy for me. I was too stupid to be happy. I didn't know what happened, but something happened. And the other thing that happened to me in 6 and 7 is 2 and 3 came alive for me. From 1 to 5, it was all mechanics for me. I just did the mechanics. So I didn't want to eat that dumpster no more. I just did the mechanics. Everything came alive for me in 6 and 7. 6 and 7 is my go-to. That's where I go. That's where I find comfort. That's where I find love. I go to 6 and 7 to this day. I go to 6 and 7 like most people go to 10 and 11. Most people go to 10 and 11 because somebody told them to. I go to 6 and 7 because that's where I found my freedom. That's where, after staying around here a couple of days, I get to look in the mirror. You ain't checking on me. Sponsor ain't checking on me. Ain't nobody checking me. I go to 6 and 7 to make sure I'm right with that power you guys introduced me to. I go to the infinite one. So would I want to go with somebody in their finite self, but I can go to the infinite one. And it's like windows, open windows. Come here with a thimble of God. And now, my God, a gunny sack won't even hold them. There's no boundaries. It's wide open. I didn't do this. You guys did. The steps, the traditions, the promises, the concepts, and the power. I was just here for the ride. I just wanted to find somewhere where I could sit down and not get arrested. I don't know about you, but cocaine and alcohol seemed like a pretty good idea to me. Not that I'm a rocket scientist, but it kind of worked out. But 6 and 7 is my ground. 6 and 7 is my love. Because today, I still, at the end of the day, I take a look at 6 and 7. Because I want to make sure there is nothing blocking me from you, from me, and that power. And it ain't to prove nothing, and it's not to become something. I spent a lot of time just being, and I got that from 6 and 7. I'm not a human doer like I've been most of my life. I'm a human being. And because of men and women like you, beautiful in nature, in rooms like this, I now know how to be. I don't have to talk about what I'm doing with God. I need to be that I desire. I want to be love's presence, then I got to be that love. I want to be patient, tolerant, then I got to be that patient, tolerant. I don't ask for that no more. Ask for very little, only what I need. But I need to be that. I got all of this from 6 and 7. 6 and 7 took this Puerto Rican sleazebag and just turned him around, put him in a whirlwind, and had him come out the other side. Somebody else. This ain't where I come from, but this is who I am. And now I've gotten to the place where that's who I am. I am that I am. And I live like that, one day at a time. Rico Cruz is just the action figure. He's the body, mind, personality. He's nobody. I am that I am. And I got that from you, from 6 and 7. Nobody told you they love you today. I love you. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Rico. Thank you for your share. You were heard. Appreciate you and grateful you're here. Let's take a moment. My Creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect or character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. And I'd now like to hand it back to Rico, please, to take us out with a prayer or reading of your choice. Thank you, Rico.
How about a short reading? Just at the beginning. This is what I usually say before I speak. God, please take from me my false pride and my grandiosity, all my phoniness and self-importance, and help me find the courage that shows itself in gentleness, the wisdom that shows itself in simplicity, and the true power that shows itself in modesty and humility.